Welcome to Bayou Time. I'm your host, Tanner McGee, and today we got a special guest. We have Houma Fire Department Training Officer Mark Stevenson. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thanks, Tanner. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. It's got a big week coming up for fire safety. It's Fire Prevention Week. Is that right?
It is It is National Fire Prevention Week. It's typically held the week of October 9th because of the historical significance of that date.
And the historical significance is that Chicago had the fire, the Great Chicago Fire. So two things are tied together. These 2 weeks. Is that right?
That's correct. So October 8th, 1871, the Great Chicago Fire happened. And then they didn't officially have Fire Prevention Week until 1922. President Coolidge, I think it was, proclaimed the week of October 9th, the National Fire Prevention Week, just to bring awareness to everybody, just to make sure that adults, children, and the like get education on how to prevent fires. It's a year-round thing for us, but that's just 1 week we dedicate to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we can do as humans to make sure that we don't cause fires. This has been a topic that's been pressing in Terrebonne Parish recently. We've had our own issue with fires, but really, the more dangerous threat starts at home.
Absolutely. So, like you said, that it's prevalent in everybody's mind right now, especially with how dry it is. There is a burn ban that's going around, set off from the fire marshal's office, and the marsh fire comes up to everybody's mind, and we don't want to focus just on wildfires and marsh fires. We want to make sure that people are taking it home. That what prevention can they do at home? Because house fires are still happening, right? We don't have very many forest fires here. You may have a marsh fire or something, and it's an inconvenience. But it's more about preventing fires at home. We're in the schools. This whole month, fire departments around the world are going and doing fire prevention with these students. They're doing stop, drop, and roll. They're doing learn not to burn, stay low and go. All of these things that we learned as kids of what to do if your clothes catch on fire, what to do if the smoke detector goes off, right? So they're going through all of these things with these kids and reiterating it in every grade level that we get invited to, and we're going Night Out Against Crime is done in October. So we're going out and we're making a push, especially this week, because it's recognized that fire prevention is a year-round thing, but we want to drive it home. And this year's theme is Cooking with Safety Starts With You, Pay Attention to Prevention. So this year's focus is on cooking fires. Lots of fires, most fires do start in the kitchen. You have the unattended candles and things like that, but people forget that they put something on the stove and they get sidetracked and they go someplace else and they leave it on. It's recommended you turn that stove off. Simple things like a fryer, leaving a fryer unattended. That oil gets too hot, it'll ignite on its own, and then hopefully they know how to extinguish it. Hopefully they don't spray water on or put water on it, because that's just going to make it bigger. But other simpler things. I mean, fryer is one, but I mean something as simple as a crock pot, right? You wouldn't think a crock pot. People leave crock pots on 8, 9, 10, 12 hours, but if the crock pot doesn't have a lid on it, all the moisture cooks out of it, and it can actually get overheated and start a fire in your house. So simple things like that we're reiterating to folks is cooking safety has to start at the house, and it carries on with people their entire lives, what they're doing, ovens, frying,
And we're heading into holiday season, so they're going to do a lot of cooking. And one of the unique things about South Louisiana is a lot of guys cook, which means a lot of guys doing things that they maybe shouldn't be doing. And I often think about frying a turkey, all the care and prevention that goes into making sure you're doing that safely.
Oh, look, and you would be surprised at some of the stuff. We read an article, I don't know if it was here or somewhere else, but it was too cold for somebody outside, so they decided to fry a turkey in their living room. That doesn't work. The other thing is to also measure how much oil you put. Sometimes these new people that aren't used to frying don't realize that if you put too much oil, once you put the turkey in, the oil level goes up drastically in the pot. Well, if it spills over the side, you have flames going, it's going to make a big mess, and you're going to have a major problem on your hands. So making sure that you measure out how much oil you need before you get started, because if you have too much, it'll spill outside that bowl, or tank, and it'll bubble out. And then once it ignites, it's over with. You're not going to be able to stop it.
And you brought up another point, too, that I see every year, and it's always sad, is that we're in that holiday season, but it's also when it gets cold, so people do extreme things to stay warm, and that can cause a lot of problems.
The older houses, people are running extension cords or run space heaters and things like that, making sure that you don't have things around your space heaters, making sure that your blankets and clothing is far away from it. ideally they want you to turn those space heaters off at night. When you go to bed at night, we want you to heat your house up and then turn those space heaters off. Typically that doesn't happen. It's what's recommended. We recommend that everybody follow manufacturers' recommendations for all heating appliances and even cooking appliances. Don't use them outside of what they were designed for. But especially space heaters, we go to space heaters and they'll start and they'll have it too close to this, or they'll drop a newspaper on it, or they'll leave the door open or something, and something will blow and wind up on the space heater. And it may take 30, 45 minutes after you fall asleep, and then the drapes are on fire, and then it spreads to the rest of the house. And hopefully we have a great outcome, and we were able to get the fire out, nobody gets hurt, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
And you should probably also check the fireplaces, right? Because sometimes you got to make sure they're open all the way so that the smoke.
Open in the flue, things like that. And look, a major thing that people take for granted is a smoke detector. Smoke detectors save lives. You have to properly install them. Houma Fire Department, if you have a smoke detector, we'll go install it for you if you don't know where it goes, to make sure it's been put in the right spot.
Do y'all change the batteries out for us? Because that's my biggest problem.
We'll go change we'll change the battery out if we need to, right? But we want to make sure that people have the protection they need. The problem is people put it in the wrong spot, detector goes off, and what do? They pull the battery out of it. Now they've made it where detectors can't even change the battery. So they're making it where you can't even do that anymore. So that because a smoke detector without a battery doesn't work. So they make it where you can't even remove them. So if they don't have a smoke detector, they can call us. I believe we have a grant to be able to put in smoke detectors in. But if they rent a house, landlords have to provide that, a smoke detector and a fire extinguisher. And we work for the inside the city, but there are departments that go around other parts of the parish that can help them out.
Well, we really appreciate you being on. That's all the time we have for Bayou Time, but you're a great guest, and we'd love to have you back next time to talk more fire safety. And that's all the time we have for Fire Chief Mark Stevenson, and we'll be back. Stay tuned.